Hello comrades, it's the Finnish Bolshevik. Today I'm making a slightly different kind of video. You might be wondering what all this is, but you'll find out soon enough. I'm gonna be telling you guys the story of my great-grandfather. He was born in the early 1900s in a village in the southern part of Finland, although not quite as south as, for instance, the capital Helsinki is, but still clearly in the south. His family were small farmers, small peasants. He himself also worked as a small farmer his entire life. When the Finnish Revolution happened, when the Finnish Communist Revolution of 1918 happens, he is a little too young to join the Red Guards. So his family are all Reds. So these are Red Guards, Finnish Red Guards. He's from a Red family, but he's a little bit too young to join the revolution, so he doesn't. He stays out of it. And after the revolution is defeated, the Social Democrat Party basically gets purged of all the communists, and the Communist Party is created, but it's banned by the government. The Communist Party functions illegally. So these are books about the period of time when the Communist Party was illegal, underground communist movement. In those years, there really wasn't a lot of political freedom in Finland. You could either, right-wingers had full political freedom. Right-wingers, fascists, Nazis, whatever, they had full political freedom. But if you were a leftist, then you really didn't have a lot of political freedom. Basically, all the leftist parties and also all the trade unions that were not associated with the Social Democrats were banned. So the Social Democratic Party was purged of all the Marxists and communists and socialists and what have you. That was the only left party that was allowed. Then in 1939, war breaks out between the Soviet Union and Finland. If you want a more detailed explanation as to why, then you can check my video about that. I'll put the link in the description and also some other stuff. But basically, the Soviet Union wanted to secure itself in case Germany or somebody else, but probably Germany, put troops in Finland and then attacked the Soviet Union through Finland. And Finland almost agreed to make some territorial changes and also a defense pact with the Soviet Union, but this did not actually happen. The Finnish government negotiated with the Soviet government 8 times, but the negotiations still failed, so there was a war. Okay, so there is a big myth in Finnish right-wing propaganda, and it says that the Finnish people were united against the Soviet Union in this war, the Winter War. But that's not actually true at all. The leftist parties, not just the Communist Party, but all the other leftist parties except the Social Democrats, they were all illegal.
The Finnish Communist Party was outlawed in 1918. The Finnish Socialist Workers' Party was outlawed in 1923 and its parliamentary group arrested. The Finnish Trade Union Federation, Finland's oldest trade union, was outlawed in 1930. The leftist opposition in the Social Democrat Party was arrested in 1940.
People try to oppose the war. They say they want peace, but the Finnish government doesn't want to negotiate with the Soviets, so the war begins. A lot of the well-known communists and well-known socialists and whatnot are immediately imprisoned as the war starts, or even a little bit before the war starts.
Quote, Finland attempted to harshly silence opinions which were undesirable, that is, harmful to the war effort, or seen as divisive. Peace activists were imprisoned, and dissidents, who were known to be leftists or in the communist underground, were interned. In practice, this was the same thing. Suitable prisons were used as internment locations. In the fall of 1939, before the start of the war. At the request of the Minister of the Interior, Urho Kekkonen, 272 communists were imprisoned, from a list of 3,800 people created by the Finnish secret police, Valpo. According to the largest estimates, as many as 400,000 people could have been in the partially underground leftist resistance movement of the 1930s.
But the rest of the people are ordered to join the military. So Finland had conscription. Finland still has conscription. So it was not voluntary to go and join the military. You were told that you either join the armed forces and you fight, or you will be killed. You will be executed.
Quote, Arnt Juho Pekurinen was a Finnish pacifist and conscientious objector. In 1926, Pekurinen repeatedly refused mandatory conscription, leading to his imprisonment between 1929 and 1931. He refused to either wear a uniform or take arms. While Pekurinen was deeply religious, his motives were not based on his faith. While his contemporaries suggested he was communist, he was not interested in politics. Because of his pacifist conviction, in the atmosphere of the militaristic 1930s, he was deemed as guilty of high treason, and the Lapua movement harassed him relentlessly. In 1930, an international petition on his behalf was sent to the Finnish Defense Minister Juho Niukkanen, which included the signatures of 60 British MPs and notables such as Albert Einstein, Henri Barbusse, and H.G. Wells. When the Winter War broke out in 1939, Pekurinen once again found himself imprisoned. At the onset of the Continuation War in autumn 1941, he was sent to the front with orders to make sure he did wear the uniform and bear and use a weapon. At the front, he still refused to wear a uniform or bear arms. Following an order issued by Captain Pentti Valkonen, he was executed without trial.
So, my great-grandfather is also forced to join the military. And this is a Red Army compass that he got from the war. It says 1939 on it, and somebody has drawn a hammer and sickle and a star with a knife on it. So, he fights in the Winter War. His brothers die in the war, but he survives. Now, he's not fighting voluntarily. He's fighting because they'll kill you if you don't fight. They'll kill you if you try anything. The Winter War only lasts for 3 months, and after that, Finland loses the war and says that they want to continue the negotiations. So the Soviets agree, so they go back to negotiating. And then we have what is called the interwar period. We're talking about the year 1940, so the Winter War is 3 months in 1939. Then we have the interwar period where we have a ceasefire, negotiations throughout 1940. Before the war, there was an organization called the Finland-Soviet Union Friendship Association. So that's what this is. Suomi-Neuvostoliitto-seura means Finland-Soviet Union Friendship Association. This organization opposes the war. This is my great-grandfather's membership card. So they advocate for peace. The government bans it. It had about 30 to 40,000 members, which for a country this small is actually a lot. It's a lot. Especially considering that it was under pretty heavy political repression along with the other left groups. In 1941, Finland betrays the ceasefire and teams up with Nazi Germany in Operation Barbarossa to invade the Soviet Union. So that's how the period of ceasefire stops. Finland invades the Soviet Union in 1940. This is called the Continuation War. Now, Finland already lost the Winter War, but it didn't lose as dramatically. But the Continuation War does not go very well for Finland. So Finland actually takes heavier casualties, and the amount of casualties and amount of people who fled and deserted from the front is actually classified still, so we don't exactly know how much those are. The continuation war is not going very well. So at this point, my great-grandfather decides that he has better chances leaving the front than being used as cannon fodder by the Finnish capitalist class. So he thinks even though the government is gonna try to kill him for deserting, he's still gonna leave the front. And what this is some Soviet war era propaganda that was handed out. It says, "Soldier comrade, do you know what kind of a man is Mannerheim or Mannerheim, the Finnish military leader?" This is from 1941. This is from the continuation war. So these were handed out. My great-grandfather also saw this and kept it. So anyway, he leaves the front. He escapes. And a lot of people do this because the continuation war is generally seen as a more blatantly aggressive war against the Soviet Union, whereas in the Winter War there was more of a pretext of self-defense. But in the continuation war there isn't. And also the continuation war is going much worse for Finland, so lots of people are deserting the front. So my great-grandfather, what he does is he escapes and he goes home. He makes his way back home. Sometime after, he is apprehended by the Finnish authorities and he's sent back to the front. He's not made a soldier again, but he's given physical labor to perform for the military at gunpoint. And after that, he's basically going to be executed. He gets actually pretty lucky because the war ends. Hostilities between Finland and the Soviet Union end in 1944. The war ends basically in Finnish capitulation, and one of the terms that the Soviets give is that all the deserters and all those who refuse to fight against the Soviet Union are pardoned. So that's why my great-grandfather is also pardoned. He is not executed. So he lived to tell the tale.